Hey guys, so we are reading Ben Sira from the New Revised Standard with Apocrypha version of the Bible, the Deuterocanonical readings. And we're in Ben Sira, we're reading chapters 29 to 35 today. So here we go. Okay. Chapter 29. The merciful lend to their neighbors by holding out a helping hand. They keep the commandments. Lend to your neighbors in this time of need. Repay your neighbor with a loan when a loan falls due. Keep your promise and be honest with him, and on every occasion you will find what you need. Many regard a loan as a windfall and cause trouble to those who help them. One kisses another's hands until he gets a loan and is deferential in speaking of his neighbor's money. But at the time for repayment, he delays and pays back with empty promises and finds fault with the time. If he can pay, his creditor will hardly get back half and will regard that as a windfall. If he cannot pay, the borrower has robbed the other of his money and he has needlessly made him an enemy. He will repay him with curses and reproaches, and instead of glory will repay him with dishonor. Many refuse to lend, not because of meanness, but from fear of being defrauded needlessly. Nevertheless, be patient with someone in humble circumstances and do not keep him waiting for your alms. Help the poor for the commandment's sake, and in their need, do not send them away empty-handed. Lose your silver for the sake of a brother or a friend, and do not let it rust under a stone and be lost. Lay up your treasure according to the commandments of the Most High, and it will profit you more than gold. Store up almsgiving in your treasury, and it will rescue you from every disaster. Better than a stout shield and a sturdy spear, it will fight for you against the enemy. A good person will be surety for his neighbor, but the one who has lost all sense of shame will fail him. Do not forget the kindness of your guarantor, for he has given his life for you. A sinner wastes the property of his guarantor, and the ungrateful person abandons his rescuer. Being surety has ruined many who were prosperous and has tossed out like waves of the sea. It has driven the influential into exile, and they have wandered among foreign nations. The sinner comes to grief through surety. His pursuit of gain involves him in lawsuits. Assist your neighbor to the best of your ability, but be careful not to fall yourself. The necessities of life are water, bread, and clothing, and also a house to assure privacy. Better is the life of the poor under their own crude roof than sumptuous food in the house of others. Be content with little or much, and you will hear no reproach for being a guest. It is a miserable life to go from house to house as a guest. You should not open your mouth. You will play the host and provide drink without being thanked, and besides this, you will hear rude words like these. Come here, stranger, prepare the table. Let me eat what you have there. Be off, stranger, for an honored guest is here. My brother has come for a visit, and I need the guest room. It is hard for a sensible person to bear scolding about lodging and the insults of the moneylender. Okay, chapter 30. He who loves his son will whip him often, so that he may rejoice at the way he turns out. He who disciplines his son will profit by him, and will boast of him among acquaintances. He who teaches his son will make his enemies envious, and will glory in him among his friends. When the father dies, he will not seem to be dead, for he has left behind him one like himself, whom in his life he looked upon with joy, and at death without grief. He has left behind him an avenger against his enemies, and one to repay the kindness of his friends. Whoever spoils his son will bind up his wounds and will suffer heartache at every cry. An unbroken horse turns out stubborn, and an unchecked son turns out headstrong. Pamper a child, and he will terrorize you. Play with him, and he will grieve you. Do not laugh with him, or you will have sorrow with him, and in the end you will gnash your teeth. I don't agree with any of this advice, actually, Ben. Sure. son Ben Sira, give him no freedom in his youth, and do not ignore his errors. Bow down his neck in his youth, and beat his sides while he is young, or else he will become stubborn and disobey you, and you will have sorrow of soul from him. Discipline your son and make his yoke heavy, so that you may not be offended by his shamelessness. Better off poor, healthy, and fit than rich and afflicted in body. Health and fitness are better than any gold, and a robust body than countless riches. There is no wealth better than health of body, and no gladness above joy of heart. Death is better than a life of misery, and eternal sleep than chronic sickness. Good things poured out upon a mouth that is closed are like offerings of food placed upon a grave. Of what use to an idol is a sacrifice, for it can neither eat nor smell. So is the one punished by the Lord. He sees with his eyes and groans as a eunuch groans when embracing a girl. Do not give yourself over to sorrow, and do not distress yourself deliberately. A joyful heart is life itself, and rejoicing lengthens one's lifespan. Indulge yourself and take comfort, and remove sorrow far from you, for sorrow has destroyed many, and no advantage ever comes from it. Jealousy and anger shorten life, and anxiety brings on premature old age. Those who are cheerful and merry at table will benefit from their food. Okay, chapter 31. Wakefulness over wealth wastes away one's flesh, and anxiety about it drives away sleep. Wakeful anxiety prevents slumber, and a severe illness carries off sleep. The rich person toils to amass a fortune, and when he rests, he fills himself with his dainties. The poor person toils to make a meager living, and if ever he rests, he becomes needy. One who loves gold will not be justified. One who pursues money will be led astray by it. Many have come to ruin because of gold, and their destruction has met them face to face. It is a stumbling block to those who are avid for it, and every fool will be taken captive by it. Blessed is the rich person who is found blameless and who does not go after gold. Who is he that we may praise him? For he has done wonders among his people. Who has been tested by it and been found perfect? Let it be for him a ground for boasting. Who has had the power to transgress and did not transgress, and to do evil and did not do it? His prosperity will be established, and the assembly will proclaim his acts of charity. Are you seated at the table of the great? Do not be greedy at it, and do not say how much food there is here. Remember that a greedy eye is a bad thing. What has been created more greedy than the eye? Therefore, it sheds tears for any reason. Do not reach out your hand for everything you see, and do not crowd your neighbor at the dish. Judge your neighbor's feelings by your own, and in every matter be thoughtful. Eat what is set before you like a well-brought-up person, and do not chew greedily, or you will give offense. Be the first to stop, as befits good manners, and do not be insatiable, or you will give offense. If you are seated among many persons, do not help yourself before they do. How ample a little is for a well-disciplined person. He does not breathe heavily when in bed. Healthy sleep depends on moderate eating. He rises early and feels fit. The distress of sleeplessness and of nausea and colic are with the glutton. If you are overstuffed with food, get up to vomit, and you will have relief. Listen to me, my child, and do not disregard me. And in the end, you will appreciate my words. If everything you do be moderate, and no sickness will overtake you. People bless the one who is liberal with food, and their testimony to his generosity is trustworthy. The city complains of the one who is stinging with food, and their testimony to his stinginess is accurate. Do not try to prove your strength by wine drinking, for wine has destroyed many. As the furnace tests the work of the smith, so wine tests hearts when the insolent quarrel. Wine is very life to human beings if taken in moderation. What is life to one who is without wine? It has been created to make people happy. Wine drunk at the proper time and in moderation is rejoicing of heart and gladness of soul. Wine drunk to excess leads to bitterness of spirit, to quarrels and stumbling. Drunkenness increases the anger of a fool to his own hurt, reducing his strength and adding wounds. Do not reprove your neighbor at a banquet of wine, and do not despise him in his merrymaking. Speak no word of reproach to him, and do not distress him by making demands of him. Okay, chapter 32. If they make you master of the feast, do not exalt yourself. Be among them as one of their number. Take care of them first, and then sit down. When you have fulfilled all your duties, take your place, so that you may be merry along with them and receive a wreath for your excellent leadership. Speak, you who are older, for it is your right, but with accurate knowledge, and do not interrupt the music. Where there is entertainment, do not pour out talk. Do not display your cleverness at the wrong time. A ruby seal is a setting of gold in a concert of music at a banquet of wine. A seal of emerald in a rich setting of gold is the melody of music with good wine. Speak, you who are young, if you are obliged to, but no more than twice, and only if asked. Be brief, say much in few words, be as one who knows and can still hold his tongue. Among the great, do not act as their equal, and when another is speaking, do not babble. Lightning travels ahead of the thunder, and approval goes before one who is modest. Leave in good time, and do not be the last. Go home quickly, and do not linger. Amuse yourself there to your heart's content, but do not sin through proud speech. But above all, bless your Maker, who fills you with his good gifts. The one who seeks God will accept his discipline, and those who rise early to seek him will find favor. The one who seeks the law will be filled with it, but the hypocrite will stumble at it. Those who fear the Lord will form true judgments, and they will kindle righteous deeds like a light. The sinner will shun reproof and will find a decision according to his liking. A sensible person will not overlook a thoughtful suggestion. An insolent and proud person will not be deterred by fear. Do nothing without deliberation, but when you have acted, do not regret it. Do not go on a path full of hazards, and do not stumble at an obstacle twice. Do not be overconfident on a smooth road, and give good heed to your paths. Guard yourself in every act, for this is the keeping of the commandments. The one who keeps the law preserves himself, and the one who trusts the Lord will not suffer loss. Okay, chapter 33. No evil will befall the one who fears the Lord, but in trials such a one will be rescued again and again. The wise will not hate the law, but the one who is hypocritical about it is like a boat in a storm. The sensible person will trust in the law, for such a one the law is as dependable as a divine oracle. Prepare what to say, and then you will be listened to. Draw upon your training and give your answer. The heart of a fool is like a cartwheel, and his thoughts like a turning axle. A mocking friend is like a stallion that neighs, no matter who the rider is. Why is one day more important than another when all the daylight in the year is from the sun? By the Lord's wisdom they were distinguished, and he appointed the different seasons and festivals. Some days he exalted and hallowed, and some he made ordinary days. All human beings come from the ground, and humankind was created out of the dust. In the fullness of his knowledge, the Lord distinguished them and appointed their different ways. Some he blessed and exalted, and some he made holy and brought near to himself. But some he cursed and brought low, and turned them out of their place. Like clay in the hand of the potter, to be molded as he pleases, so all are in the hand of their Maker, to be given whatever he decides. Good is the opposite of evil, and life the opposite of death. So the sinner is the opposite of the godly. Look at all the works of the Most High. They come in pairs, one the opposite of the other. Now I was the last to keep vigil. I was like a gleaner following the grape pickers. By the blessing of the Lord I arrived first, and like a grape picker I filled my wine press. Consider that I have not labored for myself alone, but for all who seek instruction. Hear me, you who are great among the people, and you leaders of the congregation, pay heed. To son or wife, to brother or friend, do not give power over yourself as long as you live, and do not give your property to another, in case you change your mind and must ask for it. While you are still alive and have breath in you, do not let anyone take your place. For it is better that your children should ask from you than that you should look to the hand of your children. Excel in all that you do, bring no stain upon your honor. At the time when you end the days of your life, in the hour of death, distribute your inheritance, fodder and a stick and burdens for a donkey, bread and discipline and work for a slave. Set your slave to work, and you will find rest. Leave his hands idle, and he will seek liberty. Yoke and thong will bow the neck, and for a wicked slave there are racks and tortures. Put him to work, in order that he may not be idle, for idleness teaches much evil. Set him to work as is fitting for him, and if he does not obey, make his fetters heavy. Do not be overbearing toward anyone, and do nothing unjust. If you have but one slave, treat him like yourself, because you have bought him with blood. If you have but one slave, treat him like a brother, for you will need him as you need your life. If you ill treat him and he leaves you and runs away, which will you go to seek? Which way will you go to seek him? Okay, chapter 34. The senseless have vain and false hopes, and dreams give wings to fools. As one who catches at a shadow and pursues the wind, so is anyone who believes in dreams. What is seen in dreams is but a reflection, the likeness of a face looking at itself. From an unclean thing, what can be clean? And from something false, what can be true? Divinations and omens labor, the mind has fantasies. Unless they are sent by intervention from the Most High, pay no attention to them. For dreams have deceived many, and those who put their hope in them have perished. Without such deceptions, the law will be fulfilled, and wisdom is complete in the mouth of the faithful. An educated person knows many things, and one with much experience knows what he is talking about. An inexperienced person knows few things, but he that has traveled acquires much cleverness. I have seen many things in my travels, and I understand more than I can express. I have often been in danger of death, but have escaped because of these experiences. The spirit of those who fear the Lord will live, for their hope is in him who saves them. Those who fear the Lord will not be timid or play the coward, for he is their hope. Happy is the soul that fears the Lord. To whom does he look, and who is his support? The eyes of the Lord are those who love him, a mighty shield and strong support, a shelter from scorching wind and a shade from noonday sun, a guard against stumbling and a help against falling. He lifts up the soul and makes the eyes sparkle. He gives health and life and blessing. If one sacrifices ill-gotten goods, the offering is blemished. The gifts of the lawless are not acceptable. The Most High is not pleased with the offerings of the ungodly, nor for a multitude of sacrifices does he forgive sins. Like one who kills a son before his father's eyes is the person who offers a sacrifice from the property of the poor. The bread of the needy is the life of the poor. Whoever deprives them of it is a murderer. To take away a neighbor's living is to commit murder. To deprive an employee of wages is to shed blood. When one builds and another tears down, what do they gain but hard work? When one prays and another curses, to whose voice will the Lord listen? If one washes after touching a corpse and touches it again, what has been gained by washing? So if one fasts for his sins and goes again and does the same things, who will listen to his prayer? And what has he gained by humbling himself? All right, guys, we got chapter 35. So this will be the last chapter in Ben Sira for today. The one who keeps the law makes many offerings. One who heeds the commandments makes an offering of well-being. The one who returns a kindness offers choice flour, and one who gives alms sacrifices a thank offering. To keep from wickedness is pleasing to the Lord, and to forsake unrighteousness is an atonement. Do not appear before the Lord empty-handed, for all that you offer is in fulfillment of the commandment. The offering of the righteous enriches the altar, and its pleasing odor rises before the Most High. The sacrifice of the righteous is acceptable, and it will never be forgotten. Be generous when you worship the Lord, and do not stint the first fruits of your hands. With every gift, show a cheerful face and dedicate your tithe with gladness, or your tithe with gladness. Give to the Most High as he has given to you and as generously as you can afford. For the Lord is the one who repays, and he will repay you sevenfold. Do not offer him a bribe, for he will not accept it. And do not rely on a dishonest sacrifice, for the Lord is the judge, and with him there is no partiality. He will not show partiality to the poor, but will listen to the prayer of one who is wronged. He will not ignore the supplication of the orphan or the widow when she pours out her complaint. Do not the tears of the widow run down her cheek as she cries out against the one who causes them to fall? The one whose service is pleasing to the Lord will be accepted, and his prayer will reach to the clouds. The prayer of the humble pierces the clouds, and it will not rest until it reaches its goal. It will not desist until the Most High responds and does justice for the righteous and executes judgment. Indeed, the Lord will not delay, and like a warrior will not be patient until he crushes the loins of the unmerciful and repays vengeance on the nations, until he destroys the multitude of the insolent and breaks the scepters of the unrighteous, until he repays mortals according to their deeds and the works of all according to their thoughts, until he judges the case of his people and makes them rejoice in his mercy. His mercy is as welcome in time of distress as clouds of rain in time of drought. Okay, guys, that's it for Ben Sira today. Thanks for watching and listening. Bye.